Welcome back to IGN's News, Games, and More, where we talk about news, games, and more things. Today...
That was good.
Jeremy, you need way more hype than that. Come on.
All right, hang on. Let me drink some hype juice.
Oh, God.
Welcome back, everybody, to News, Games, and More. We're going to talk about news, games, and more. Oh,
That's better.
boy. It's me, your pal, Jeremy. I'm here with my friends, Tom, Stella, and Destin. Tell us something about yourselves, everybody.
Jeremy, is there a middle ground? Like, can we dial?
No, he's perfect.
All or nothing.
All. Every time. Crank it to 11.
Yeah,
that's what I say.
0 to 100.
Yeah.
How's everybody feeling today?
Good.
Doing okay today.
How's everybody feeling at home? Let me know in the chat. Hello, says Alexia. We got some really great stories to talk about today. Do you guys want to hop into the first one and just get moving?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So here's one that I thought was pretty interesting. Everything is coming along just fine and right on time, says inexplicably optimistic CEO about to close 300 stores this year.
I love that title.
Did you guys read these stories?
I did, yeah. It was pretty strange that GameStop, who's closing a ton of stores this year, is like, everything's great. But maybe that's just like a business strategy where you, no matter what, you just stay positive, right? What's the alternative? Oh, yeah, I'm ruined.
I mean, he's probably maybe in denial. Who knows? Like, he's going down with the ship. He's like, oh, no, it's fine. It's just a little water. Like,
Well, part of it is like they are doing this massive restructuring thing. So maybe in their estimate, their eyes, like, they're on whatever track they need to be on. Like, I guess we don't know that part of it. But again, yeah, you're right. You're not going to come out as the CEO of your company and be like, yeah, we're screwed. Like, this is really bad, guys. I don't know what to do. Like, you're going to put on a strong face at the very least.
yeah.
This is funny. Alexia's running video footage from a GameStop parody series from like 7 or 8 years ago on IGN. That's good. Well,
Oh, my God.
also, like, specifically, this guy, George Sherman, he's the CEO of GameStop. He's talking about the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, like, more so than anything else. He seems to think that those are going to come out on time and to order, and there's not going to be any sort of, like, problems with the supply chain. I think you guys are correct to point out that this might have to do with just like kind of getting the shareholders to believe that. And I'm sure that in private, he's probably staring into the abyss, you know, like just giving into the nihilism. But in public, he's got to be like, yeah, like everything's going to be fine. It's cool. We're closing down 300 stores this year, but whatever. And actually, according to this story, they are actually doing better than usual. So, you know, they're not exactly profitable, but their net loss is like a couple $100 million less than it was before.
Well, that's what happens when you close 320 stores last year, is you
Yeah.
are spending a lot less money.
Well,
Well,
also,
do you think-
when you look at it, when the scope of how many operational stores there are, they have 5,500 operational stores in the U.S., so 320 actually isn't that much, and
Yeah, it's
they
not drastic.
they were already probably potentially planning to downscale already based on that number. So they're probably trying to get down closer to 4,000 stores. What do you guys think?
Jeez. I don't know. Do you think that GameStop is something that could just go digital instead?
No.
Like, could it be like Amazon, but for games?
I mean, they already do digital sales, just not very well.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason you'd go to GameStop to buy a PS4 code when you could just go to the PlayStation store and buy that same code.
Yeah.
I think, in fact, like, their whole strategy seems to be almost the opposite of that, right? Like, they're like, everyone come to this place. We're going to make it a hangout place. Like, they've gone the exact opposite direction. And to be fair, like, if GameStop does close, like, I don't go to GameStop very often anymore, but like if GameStop shut down, like it would be a really drastic thing, right? Like a lot of people in areas that have data caps or really slow internet or that sort of thing, like just suddenly wouldn't be able to get games, at least not nearly as easily. So like that part of it is kind of scary to me, man.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a commenter here echoing what you're saying, Tom. He says his name's Curtis62884. He says, I hope it's not mine. I shop at mine constantly, especially to save a few bucks buying games and systems used. And I honestly see zero benefits from buying digital also. Like, not everybody's really down with buying digital. Some people like to have the physical copies, and some people don't necessarily like having to buy everything from Amazon either, and having like, I don't know, like an experience of shopping as opposed to just like click, that's it. Right.
But I think the more time passes, I think there's fewer and fewer people like the commenter that you just brought up in chat. And because there's fewer and fewer people, that means there's going to be fewer and fewer stores needed. It's unfortunate. Like, I'm sorry to the guy watching or lady watching who isn't going to have their favorite store to go to anymore. But I mean, you can buy off of eBay and have it shipped to your house. You can get really good deals on Amazon and just have them shipped to you. You can go buy like 20 games and just have them direct to your house, probably even for cheaper than they would be at GameStop in some scenarios. So, yeah. And GameStop kind of set themselves up for this with their pricing strategies where they buy your games for basically nothing and then sell them at a huge upsell value, which is just business. I don't fault them for that per se. But when people started realizing, hey, I can get this for dirt cheap on eBay, they stopped shopping at GameStop. And it was an eventuality. Just brick and mortar stores in general are suffering because of Amazon and eBay and all the other options that you have as a smart consumer.
I hate to see it happening to video games, though, because I always used to really enjoy going to video game stores, and I can see why they were trying to make it an experiential thing. I think, obviously, that's a bad move for right now in this moment. The timing just couldn't be worse for these guys. They really stepped on a rake. But, you know, we lost toy stores a couple years ago when Toys R Us went out of business, and that sucks. Like, I don't know, like, I have small children, and there's literally no toy stores. There's like an aisle in Target, right? And that's it. Like there, you occasionally will see mom and pop toy stores, but even those seem to be going out of business left and right. And you know, the same could happen to video games very easily. And that makes it hard to be a collector. I like to collect games personally. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people in the comments are talking about how they like to collect games. You know, they like to, like, it's not just that too. Like, if you guys ever like grew up in the age where you went to video stores, you would talk to the clerk, like you talk to a real person, you know, not just a person online like we're doing now, but to a real person about, you know, what games are you playing? You know, like, is this good? Yeah. Like, what do you like about this? What don't you like about this? What could you recommend that's kind of like this other game that I like? Like that whole interpersonal experience is just like kind of gonna go away. Like that isn't replicated in any way by eBay or Amazon.
Yeah. I think it's a. Sorry, go ahead, Stella. I talked a lot.
I was just going to say kind of, I remember midnight releases. That was a huge thing. People would throw parties. They would like bring pizza to lines and like, you know, hang out really late just so they could get a game at midnight. And that's a sort of community thing that's going to be gone now. But I don't know. I feel like if GameStop had been a little bit smarter and also kinder to their employees, maybe they would have not run out of business as quickly as they did.
I think this is just something that's happening across the board. There's fewer malls. People go shop less.
Yeah.
And it's more of a larger picture thing. Amazon came along. It's much cheaper and it's much easier to get stuff on Amazon. And just like Uber and Lyft basically put taxi drivers out of business, the same thing's happening now with brick and mortar stores. And it's not wholly because of what GameStop did. It's just a shifting trend in the world. Like, the same way arcades went away. We have arcades in our homes now. GameStop, we can buy everything digitally on day one and have it downloaded to our console instead of waiting in a 500-person line or leaving our house, you know? So that's really it.
What about the assertion that all of this stuff is going to be on time? This guy, your opinion is kind of cringe. That's his name. Says most people in the medical fields agree peak hospital bed demand will be mid-April, around April 9th. So assuming we hit peak next month and spill over into May, we should be looking at drastic slowdowns of the spread around noon. So this guy says that means the console launching around holidays should be fine. I don't know if that's true. Like, can you think of any instance in which like an entire business or supply chain shutting down completely for a couple months would not like have some effect on you being able to ship said product on time? It's just not possible.
Yeah,
no way that this isn't going to result in some kind of slowdown.
So that's the tricky thing in all this, right? Is like I think that you can't say, well, if this peaks in April, then December will be fine. Like we're going to be feeling the ramifications and kind of the effects of COVID for at least a year in various ways, right? Like it's going to affect a lot of different things that people aren't expecting beyond just like people getting sick. That said, we actually our own Jonathan Dornbush did talk to some industry analysts who said the same thing that GameStop is saying, which is they currently don't expect PS5 and Xbox Series X to to get delayed. But what could happen is there will be essentially shortages, right? Like it'll be really, really hard to get a console once they run out. They're going to have a hard time restocking the shelves. That part is going to go slower. So I think it's totally possible and probably true that these consoles are not going to get pushed, but they are going to be like really, really tricky to find.
I think round one, they already have them in boxes, ready to go, ready to ship.
Probably,
and round two, like you said, Tom, and I talked about this on the show a few weeks ago. Yeah, it's not impacted now because they've largely built most of the components, but round two is going to be harder to get. So that round one set, it's going to be extra coveted. And if you're really a hardcore fan, people are just going to go nuts. It's going to be like the it's going to be like the PS3 era again, where you're going to have that 60 gigabyte PS3 sitting on eBay for $1,200 when it was only $600 at launch. So that's what I predict happening. Even if they don't have a shortage, people are just going to assume there's going to be. So we're going to see that no matter what.
I mean, that's kind of already happening with the Switch right now. Like everyone wants to buy the Switch because there's Ring Fit, there's like Just Dance. It's a lot easier to do workouts or play games on it. And now it's selling out and it's sold out on Amazon. You can get it through like third-party sellers. I know it's like the prices are hiked up on eBay. And you can't even buy Ring Fit anywhere.
Stella, I love how you just immediately go to like, there's these workout games on it. And
there are.
Whatever.
Because like Ring Fit is completely sold out. You can get other games, but Ring Fit and the Switch were like really big buys from people as soon as the lockdown started.
Ring Fit is like $200 on eBay right now, like a sealed box of Ring Fit. It's really, really popular.
Yeah, I'm looking at Switch on Amazon. It's only from third-party sellers, and I don't really see any offers.
That thing is sold out.
$546.99.
Speaking of Amazon, there's a lot of people in the comments that are sort of they're speculating that Amazon might be a potential purchaser of GameStop, which is an interesting idea. This guy Worldstar says that, like, just think about this: they buy GameStop, revamp the Pro membership as a subdivision to Amazon Prime, and they could do so much with it. Like, I don't. That doesn't seem like totally unbelievable. Like, that might be their best shot at like going all digital, is to just partner with not only with Amazon but with Twitch, since that's already integrated.
That's possible. But also remember, like, Amazon has enough money that they could buy literally any company for literally any reason and then just like do whatever they wanted with it. Mm-hmm. So the idea of saying like GameStop is going to get bought by Amazon is like, well, like literally anyone can get bought by Amazon at any.
Yeah.
I think they need to get bought by somebody at this point because no amount of hiring Reggie is going to help bail them out now. Like they've got one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel at this point. And I hate to punch down because I want to see them succeed, but
if GameStop even thinks they have an offer, that company's getting sold immediately. They know that they need to dump it as fast as they possibly can and make a profit. The strategies that they're implementing with the like having everybody come in, I mean, there's going to be psychological ramifications of the COVID thing going on for years, and I do not think people are going to be like, let's go hang out with everybody right away after this is all over anyway. So that strategy, I don't think it's going to pay off specifically because of the impact of what we're going through now.
Shadow Fury in the comments is asking, what's the name of that background show, Game Shop? I want to know the name. Pretty sure that's actually just called Game Shop. It's on the IGN Start channel, which is a channel IGN used to operate a few years back. I've heard rumors that IGN might be eventually relaunching that channel, but you didn't.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You know what I've heard rumors about, Jeremy?
We tell secrets on this show, so that's a really good reason why you should be watching this all the way through. You know that?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me something else, Dustin.
I've heard rumors about BioWare.
Oh,
Have you
yeah? What have you
this
heard
one?
about BioWare? Tell me.
Apparently, they're working on a new game from one of its most prestigious franchises. And if you look at Mike Gamble's Twitter, he's mentioned in this article, he's constantly tweeting about Mass Effect and space and just how much he loved the Mass Effect franchise. He even has like a space-themed header on Twitter. I think the franchise that they're discussing is a Mass Effect reboot, and I think they've been working on it for some time now.
I heard that he shaved his head and then he got Mass Effect tattooed on the back of it, then grew his hair back out and forgot about it and won't notice it again until many years later when all of his hair falls out.
Oh, okay.
I did too, Jeremy.
Wait, Dustin, you said Mass Effect reboot.
Yeah.
That's where you think it's going? That's your guess?
I don't think we're going back to Andromeda.
Okay.
I would love it if they redid Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. So I'm using reboot in terms of optimism, I guess. I don't think that they're going to like relaunch the franchise. I think we're going to do like the First Contact War in the Mass Effect universe or something like that.
Oh, that would
it's
be
a little bit
so cool. That would be so cool. I would
yeah,
love
like
that.
the first time humans jumped through the portal or the Mass Effect relay basically and encountered the Turians, and there was this massive war between the two factions before they kind of got to a peaceful state. You could still introduce all of the characters that you know and love from the series. It's sort of like a fish out of water vibe, and you can still have all the great combat mechanics. But Andromeda overall, I think we can all agree, kind of a dud in terms of Mass Effect, not just because of the animation and everything. I just was not nearly as engrossed by that storytelling as I was.
Did you
through
play it all the way
trilogy.
through, or?
Yeah, I played through every Mass Effect game, and I've read all the books. And
okay.
and yeah, I'm a
I
big.
knew that the moment you started talking about the Turian War, man. Like I was like, whoa, man, he knows. He knows.
Yeah, it has some really, really strong lore to pull from, and even 3, which wasn't received that well, had some things happen in the gap between 2 and 3 that were really, really interesting. But First Contact War is something that fans have said, man, you could go back to that and just tell that story. That would be awesome. Chat, if you're a big Mass Effect fan, let me know what you think would be a really, really interesting angle for them to take with the new Mass Effect. I do not think they should revisit Andromeda, though. Can the panel agree on that? Or do you think they should go back and revisit the brother-sister?
I'm with you. I think like the story of Mass Effect 1, 2, 3 is a self-contained story that I don't think it makes a lot of sense to like go back to like that specific arc. You know, I don't want to do like a Star Wars of this where we just like dig up everybody's coffin and slap them up and go like, remember this guy? You know, like I don't need that. Andromeda I liked it. I liked it probably more than a lot of other people did. I didn't have as much of a problem. It's not as good as like the original trilogy, but like what is like that's one of the for me like one of the best gaming experiences I ever had. Like everything about it is just so satisfying to me. Like I could live in that world for forever. I don't feel like I need an Andromeda 2. I didn't connect to the characters as much, which is the main thing that I love about the Mass Effect series. Like I really, really, really love the characters in the original trilogy, and in Andromeda they were just kind of like, I don't know, they just seem like half-ass versions of those characters, and
the story was so weak.
Yeah, and it's like, give me like an Elcor on my party or something, or like get weird with it. Like you had an opportunity to do something weird. Give me like Blasto, you know, as a character. Like
I'm very surprised to see in chat right now, a lot of people actually want to see the Andromeda arc finish. And they're saying, I mean, basically the one thread that they left hanging was there was this whole group of people, the Quarians, who never actually arrived at the destination of the new planet. So just hypothetically, if they were to return to Andromeda, what would you like to see? And before we get to that, maybe Tom, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say there's a surprising amount of love for it, but I think one of the things that I'm confident in, no matter what direction they go, is that they won't call it Mass Effect Andromeda 2 if this is a game, if they're making another Mass Effect, even if it's connected. Like we've entered this age where the AAA games don't need game name number, right? Like we have Halo Infinite, you have Doom Eternal, all the Assassin's Creeds have dropped numbers. Like you don't need to do Mass Effect Andromeda 2. You can just do Mass Effect some other word, whatever that might be, and then where you place it in the world or where you put it in the story or how it connects in any way is sort of irrelevant to the title itself. Like, I think that they're going to at least avoid the name Andromeda because there is so much, even if people in the chat like it here, that's great, but like there is so much kind of wider negative connotation.
It's got a bad rap. You're totally right, Tom.
Yeah.
I think they'll at least avoid the word Andromeda even if they continue that story.
Absolutely. Stella, you got something?
Yeah, I really liked. I mean, I played Mass Effect. I started with 2 actually. I skipped 1, and I loved it. And I loved the world building and all the lore in it. It's kind of like how I felt with. I feel like this is a good way to kind of balance the two, but I kind of felt like Andromeda was Fallout's 76 game that came out.
Yeah.
Like if you compare,
Technically, Fallout 70.
Technically, that bad. Jesus Christ.
Technically, Fallout 76 would have been Fallout's Andromeda in that timeline because Andromeda came first. But I see.
Yeah, because like they missed out on this opportunity to really dig into the lore, and if BioWare did what Dustin's saying, like if they did a prequel or something where they could dig into like the base background of this world that they built, of this universe, that'd be really cool. Because I fell in love with that. Because who doesn't want to explore space and, be this badass captain? Commander, sorry.
People that hate fun.
Yeah.
Jason in chat was surprised that I said 3 wasn't received well. There was this whole controversy about the ending. I think they did a lot to correct that. But initially at 3's launch, I was at IGN when we were covering that, and the community was pretty pissed. They were unhappy with how it ended. They didn't like how it was so binary. They felt betrayed because they put so much time into that game. I think it's sort of nice to hear that Jason is surprised to hear me say that, because it means how they retrofitted the storytelling afterwards did a lot to correct the mistakes of how it initially ended. I think 3 is the best gameplay wise. I think 2 is the best combination of gameplay and storytelling. And I think 1 is the best story, period. Probably one of my favorite stories in games ever, with how everything played out with the Saren character. And it's just because of the storytelling. So, sorry to sort of like talk so much, but I love Mass Effect. I think there's a few ways they could go with this. I think if they do go the Andromeda route, they need to straight up just kill a bunch of people. Like they need to make they need to make a lot of drama in that space, because
I'm not playing
PC.
Andromeda unless they do something like really nuts with it. Like unless the main character is like a Hanar. Like then I'm in. Otherwise, get out.
Yeah, they got to do something absolutely crazy to get those of us that felt burned by BioWare and Andromeda really, really invested in that series. So if it's dramatic enough, I think Andromeda could work. They will never label anything Andromeda again because of the negative connotation. I would love it, actually. A lot of people talked about a remaster of 1, 2, and 3. Hell yes. I think the whole internet wants that. EA is constantly saying, we're not going to do remasters. But then they started changing their tune.
How do you even improve on those, though? Like, what can you possibly
do? Easily. You take the gameplay mechanics of 3, you bundle it together as a trilogy, you make sure that all the games play at least as good as 3 did, right? In terms of progression and mechanics and everything. You keep all the conversational stuff, because that remained at least consistent through the trilogy for the most part. And then you just improve the whole thing graphically.
I kind of liked how 2 was like a little fussier with the RPG elements. I'd like to see it go like a little bit deeper if they're going to like remaster and rebundle them.
Yeah, but which mining mini game do you use?
You can skip the mining mini game altogether. That's totally fine.
What if they came out with a Mass Effect Battle Royale?
Get out, Stella. Stella, you're off the show.
That's the direction that everyone has been going.
No, that's not going to happen. If it's multiplayer focused, I would be so pissed. I would be very, very unhappy.
If it were just a multiplayer mode, I wouldn't mind it. I actually played the multiplayer in Mass Effect quite a lot. Like a lot.
Yeah, it's fun.
I liked it.
Which one, Jeremy? Because 3 had a multiplayer mode that was really good, and Andromeda's multiplayer mode was actually pretty solid too.
I played both of those, but definitely more 3 than Andromeda, for sure. Like Andromeda was just like, let's get this over with.
Yeah. Andromeda had some really interesting gunplay mechanics. One thing we actually haven't done, we've just, I've nerded out about Mass Effect with you guys for a little bit here. What's the actual story here?
What do you think? Well, the story is you're probably shit out of luck, Dustin, because there's no way in hell that it's not Dragon Age 4 that they're working on. That's just my read on it.
So I read that in that story. Here's the thing. Dragon Age is in development. We know that. We know who the leads are, and we know the status of that game. They are working on something else that we don't know about. And that's why when this job listing was posted, that this story popped up. So yes, of course they're developing Dragon Age. I don't dispute that or argue that. We've all known that's coming for years. They have trailers out for that property, and Mark Darr is constantly tweeting about it. But Gamble is on something different.
Yeah. But counterpoint, Dragon Age 4 is like drag-assing along at such a sluggish rate that I wouldn't be surprised if they were rehiring for one position or another. And point two, it's probably equally likely that the game that they're working on is KOTOR, because that's what all the rumors have been for the last several months. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, like, that's the thing is,
Iron Mike knows what I'm talking about. He says, I guarantee it's KOTOR.
It could be like, this is the thing is, it could be KOTOR is, I think, the only one that's kind of like, well, it could be that because it's rumored to, like, there are rumors around it, right? We know, like you said, we know Dragon Age is coming out, and even if we don't know anything about a new Mass Effect, like, I think that it is an extraordinarily safe bet to be like, well, Mass Effect prints money and EA would like to print money, so probably they are working on more Mass Effect, right? Like, that is such a popular franchise for them. I can't imagine they're not at least well, I guess maybe Andromeda burned that goodwill, but like, I can't imagine they're not at least considering working on a game like that in the future. Whether, like, how far along in development, we don't know, and what this job listing is for is kind of, I don't know, but like, it's tricky when they have all these things in the fire. And I think, like, my big question is, how much did Anthem throw them for a loop, right? Like, how much did Anthem make them reevaluate their processes and what they're going to be focusing on, what they're doing? Because we just don't know the answer to that question. And it could have been a lot, or they could just be marching forward on Dragon Age still. Like, we don't.
They never said they were done with Mass Effect, right? Like, officially?
I mean, I don't think any studio would just be like,
yeah.
What studio would be like, no, Nintendo coming out being like, we're done with Mario. Like, there's not going to be a new.
So I'm only going off memory here, but I do think they said something along the lines of the next Mass Effect is a long ways off. Like, they're not going to be revisiting that franchise. So when chat says this is KOTOR, I actually think that has the highest likelihood of being true. They have the MMO for SWTOR, I think is the abbreviation. Yes, and then they have the KOTOR franchise. They could do a KOTOR 3. They could just revisit that whole world and retell the two games together, which was rumored not that long ago. So there have been KOTOR rumors about BioWare also. The thing is, Dragon Age needs to come out before they even start revealing any of this stuff, because people have lost a lot of faith in BioWare right now. They had Andromeda, which people largely revolted against and did not like. It became a meme. And then they had Anthem, which has been heralded as one of the biggest gaming disasters in the last 5 years. So they have a lot of goodwill to make up, and I hope they do. I hope Dragon Age does it.
They definitely need something that's just reliable right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Based on what we've read on Kotaku and from Jason Schreier about what has been going on internally, that needs to get set in place. They need to get their employees working normal work-life balance stuff, and then they need to get back to focusing on making fantastic gaming experiences. And I think once they get all those ducks in a row, we're going to get the old BioWare back.
House Knight says, what about Jade Empire?
I would love another Jade Empire, but I don't think anybody else in the world does.
I would take that. Like, I love all of these franchises, but I'm personally a little bit burned out on space right now.
Yeah,
I feel like
fair.
I'm not getting enough wizards and dragons and daggers and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Some high fantasy, baby. I want Dragon Age. I want it right now. Every Dragon Age is so bitchin'. I love all the Dragon Ages, even the second one that just reused the same map over and over about 100,000 times.
Dragon Age,
I want Jade Empire.
not Dragon Age, excuse me. Jade Empire is a great game, and I would love to see it return. But I feel like Jade Empire has so little name recognition or sort of like nostalgia around it that it would essentially be a new IP if they were making it in 2020 or 2022 or whenever. Like that game does not have the name that something like KOTOR does or Dragon Age or anything like that. Even if it was a great game.
How many sweet karate games do we have out there right now? Hardly any. I can't think of any at all. Right? So,
what karate game are you about to pitch?
Yeah.
Jade Empire, right? give me some karate. Give me some kung fu. Give me some ninjutsu. Give me some like punches and kicks. Like everything is just like space. Everybody's a space marine. Space marine. I've had enough.
Have you played Shaq Fu?
We don't have a lot of karate games, but we do have a lot of samurai and ninja games right now.
The fact that you keep saying Jade Empire is about karate is killing me. It was about Chinese mythology and martial arts, and karate is Japanese, so please stop.
Karate's a martial art. Yeah, you're right, Destin.
Martial arts, much better. Thank you.
Yeah. Karate.
The question I have about if KOTOR came back, the biggest idea or like the thing that is curious to me is like, how does that affect EA losing the EA Disney or Star Wars contract going up in 2023? Like if they were starting a Star Wars game right now, would they have to finish it in the next 3 years, or would that extend past that contract? Is that contract going to get renewed? Like that's a really interesting idea to me. Like I don't know how that would matter if a new KOTOR game was like starting now or starting soon.
There is no way, after what happened with the last Star Wars game being a massive success with Respawn and EA, that they're going to be like, hey, BioWare, company that's released 2 duds, take a crack at it. That's just not going to happen. They need Dragon Age to be a success to prove that they can do something with that IP. They're going to focus on the winning formulas that are working currently at Respawn. And who's the other team designing Star Wars games? There was one there was a lot of controversy around.
DICE? They do Battlefront.
Yeah, DICE.
Oh,
but
that's right.
that game still sold very well. And
Battlefront 2 turned around too, man. Mm-hmm. Like Battlefront 2 was I reviewed it at launch and it was like kind of a travesty. And then they really, really did a lot of work on that game, and it's actually a really fun multiplayer Star Wars.
Yeah, didn't we have to re-review that one because the game ended up being so different from how it started out?
Well, we check back in with re-reviews, like kind of games that have adapted over the years. Occasionally we'll do re-reviews. They're not even like re-reviews. They're just like a fresh review in whatever year, a couple years later. So we just did that for Sea of Thieves. We did that for the Master Chief Collection. We did that for Star Wars Battlefront 2. In the past, we've done it for Rainbow Six Siege, Rocket League, games like that.
Yeah.
It has changed a lot.
You did the re-review of Siege, right? Which is great.
Did the re-review of Siege, which is probably now out of date because I did it in like 2018.
Yeah, spoilers, it's better.
I think this commenter has like the best idea for a game for them to focus on. Tibble78 says, karate wizards in space, cover all the bases.
Yeah.
I already pre-ordered it.
If you want ninjas in space, there's already Warframe.
Yeah, that's just like ghetto Destiny, isn't it?
Oh my
God. No,
it's not.
There's a lot of stuff in Warframe that's better than what you're doing.
I'm a huge Warframe fan, so I won't die on this hill right here because it'll get bloody. But like, man,
what else we got today, Jeremy?
We'll talk about this for a long time. Let's move on to a couple of the other stories that we have. One is a little bit of bad news, but maybe, I don't know. Like the Resident Evil 3 beta has been delayed for existence.
The beta? Okay.
Yeah,
not for everybody.
Mode. Yeah,
not for everybody.
Destin, okay.
That's right. So who's it for, Destin? Tell us.
Sorry, PlayStation fans. Get an Xbox. What can I say?
It's just on PlayStation, so it's not for everybody, but there's a little bit of a delay on PlayStation. I don't see it. Like, what's the point of doing a beta at this point if like the game is coming out in just a few days? It just may not happen in time. How are you guys feeling about this? Like, are you even excited for the multiplayer mode, or are you just really kind of going to be focused on the single player mode?
I do not care one iota about the multiplayer mode.
No.
I'm really curious about it, man. It looks weird and cool. Like, it's not the reason I'm ever going to be buying Resident Evil 3, right? Like I'm gonna buy it for the campaign, but if Resistance is cool, then I'm all for it. It's
but they have such a tremendous track record for this sort of thing, right? With such classic titles as
Umbrella Corps. They did Umbrella Corps. It was bad.
Yeah.
What was that?
Umbrella Corps was a 3v3 over-the-shoulder PvP game set in the Resident Evil universe, and it was
okay.
really, really fun in demos. And then when the actual game came out, it was like so bad, like just monumentally bad, and it disappeared into obscurity. So their multiplayer track record in the Resident Evil world, at least in recent years, is not good. But like, I don't know, I'm curious about this at the very least.
Yeah. Huh.
Does chat care at all about this? I see one dude. I love asymmetric multiplayer
I was just
Iron
reading
Mike.
that too.
It's for you, Mike. I hope you're on Xbox.
What if it's
fate.
as good as Left 4 Dead, but it's just third person?
I don't know. It feels like it's going to be more like what's it called, Dead by Daylight.
Yeah,
because it seems like it's more modeled towards that. Because a lot of games have been like that. Like what is it? Friday the 13th or something like that is also a game that's out that
Friday the 13th.
resembles. Yeah.
Death Garden was another one that kind of came and went. These are all the games that came after Evolve, right? And there's the Predator Hunting Grounds, which is coming out soon. Asymmetrical multiplayer is kind of it's like the flavor right under Battle Royale and hero shooters that everyone's like kind of playing with.
Yeah.
I think this one actually looks really fun, though. Like, I'm looking at the gameplay right here, and for some reason, it looks really appealing to me. The only thing I don't like about it is, like, the character design feels like they're all characters from, like, Archie or something. Like, why is it also teenage? Like,
the setting looks really weird to me, too. Like, compared to the other games, it looks a little bright. I don't know, from the preview that we're seeing.
That looks bright to you? This is, like, in total darkness. What are you talking about?
Okay, I'm looking at a bright neon... Like they're in a club or something.
It's a casino, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This looks like the Friday the 13th game. This looks like the Predator. Well, no, the Predator game's a little bit more fast-paced than this. And yeah, this is absolutely not doing anything for me at all. And now that I've seen it, I like it even less.
If I were to play
hadn't
a
seen it
Resident
in a
Evil
while.
game, I would do it for the lore and the story because I love that. So I feel like that's what I'd play for, not the multiplayer.
You don't really think of Resident Evil as that, but this guy Todd Hamilton in the chat, he says, I played the closed beta last year and it's fun. I wouldn't buy it at full price solo, but included with the remake, very smart.
I agree
they're
with
not
that.
asking anything of you. They're just saying, like, look, you can have this along with, you're going to buy the game anyway, right? Like
that's exactly right. Because when they first showed this off and when they first did a preview of it, we did previews of it, the whole thing that they were saying is it wasn't even like a game. They were like, this is just kind of an experiment. Like, this is just something we're trying and we don't know where it's going to go. We don't really know what we're going to do with it. We'll see if people like it. And then what they decided to do with it was just put it in Resident Evil 3. Like, they totally could have made this a standalone thing that they charged for. So, like, I really, really see it as like frosting, right? Like Resident Evil 3, the campaign, the single player is going to be the cake, but like this is just sort of sprinkles on top. And like, I'm excited to try it. Yeah.
It's also smart from a business perspective. Like if I could just put on my greedy capitalist hat on real quick, like I'm Capcom, right? I put out Resident Evil 2. Everybody loved it. Great game. You know, single player game. They beat it once. They beat it twice. They tried to speed run it maybe. At best, you maybe sold like a couple pieces of DLC, and then that's it. That game's done, right? Meanwhile, you got all these like games as service people just printing cash, just stacking it up as high as they can stack it, right? And Capcom not getting a single taste of that, right? So here they can kind of have it both ways. They lure you in with the big AAA game that they know you're going to buy, and then you're like, oh, you know, I'll give this a try. Like, it's free. Like, well, it's going to cost me nothing. It ain't going to be free. They're going to have microtransactions in this. They're going to be selling you skins and, like, little, like, characters and costumes and all kinds of crap. And before you know it, you're going to be like, oh, I got to, like, complete this mission because it's like I can only do it, like, during this week. It's going to be gone. You know, I got to get this thing. I better pay some money to speed it up, you know? And so they get a little taste of that cash that they weren't getting before. Smart.
I think that's going to keep
a free
working.
mode.
Yeah, it's a free mode, and I honestly think that is going to become less and less profitable as people kind of get the trick. Like, I get what Destiny is doing. Oh, you're trying to get me to spend more time in your game so that I spend more money. Division's doing the same thing. Everyone's sort of playing that game, and gamers aren't stupid. I think the profit margin on those, it's going to get oversaturated. It's going to become very transparent when companies are doing that, and there's going to be a revenue loss eventually because it takes a lot of time to develop those sort of systems, or this additional multiplayer mode, which it looks like something. Chat seems kind of excited about it. I don't mean to be so negative. It is definitely not something I'm going to be into, but if it's packaged in with the game, exactly like Tom said, maybe I'll check it out once, and that might be enough for them.
You talk about Mass Effect, Destin's in. You talk about literally anything else, Destin is a nihilist. Jesus, Destin.
We're all going to die. None of this matters.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well-
Okay, well,
Oh, sorry. Just being a nihilist.
I've got a story to cheer you up. If
Yes,
you're feeling a little
please.
bit nihilistic and staring into the abyss, and the abyss is staring back at you, and the dark tentacles are coming and wrapping themselves around your throat, and you're longing for the sweet release of death. Instead, think about this. CD Projekt Red is donating $1 million to fight the coronavirus. Have you seen this?
Hell yeah.
God
That's
damn it, I
great.
love this company. Why is CD Projekt Red so great? Everything they do is so good. They give and they give and they give and they give.
This story made me feel good inside. I don't really know what else to say about it. It's just really cool. They're like, hey, here's $1 million. Screw this stupid thing that's ravaging the world. I'm going to help protect our country, or we're going to help protect our country. And that's just awesome.
And just to be
Good on
clear, like, don't think of it as just like a company, right? Like, it's really easy to think of something as a company. CD Projekt Red is a company. IGN is a company, right? These companies are made up of people. And the people at CD Projekt Red, the actual people on the board of directors and the shareholders, they themselves opened up their wallets and said, like, we are going to pay for that, right? In the same way that Alamo Drafthouse is doing. We covered the story last week, I think. The people that own the Alamo Drafthouse set aside a couple $1 million to actually, like, pay the salaries of all their furloughed workers. You know, and so there are these companies out there that are doing really positive things with their money and with their resources. You know, while other companies are sitting out there with their hat in their hand, being like, "Please, can I have some bailout money?" Even though they're making like billions of dollars in profits. So, hell yeah to CD Projekt Red. That's awesome what they're doing. Nintendo's doing awesome stuff. They've donated 10,000 respirator masks in Washington. We saw like Bungie is running a charity event on
oh,
Twitter.
are they? That's
Yeah,
cute. I didn't know
And
that.
even Games Done Quick is doing like a speedrunning event to raise
Yeah.
money for charity.
Games Done Quick had to cancel Summer Games Done Quick and like their big summer event, and so they're doing a what is it? It's like COVID fought quick or something like that. I can't remember what it was. So they're raising money for it through an all online event.
Yeah.
Which is
Twitch also has a separate like official Twitch event that they're doing. It's called StreamAid 2020, which is great. So they brought on all of these like sports people, gaming, music artists, and like a lot of big people are participating in this. Like a lot of people who can't host their concerts and people who can't, perform in competitions and stuff. They're actually gathering together on like Saturday this weekend to do this. So it's really cool to see everyone come together online. And it's really funny. Like when I was growing up, my parents were always like, "Oh, don't talk to people online. Like they're bad people." Yes, but now look at all the good that's happening. So it's just really funny.
Nav the Conqueror says, and all they're asking for in return is a round of Gwent. Amazing. I like that.
I'd be down with that.
Yeah, man, dude. CD Projekt Red is always so good. Earlier, we were talking about how Dustin and I were talking about how I'm trying to put all these mods into Witcher 3. I don't know if this is happening to you guys in chat. Let me know if it is. But are you watching The Witcher and you're like, "Oh, I kind of want to read those Witcher books. I never read them. I played the game a bunch, And then you read the books, you're like, "Come on, play Witcher again." Even though I put a couple 100 hours into that. But then you're like, "I don't want to do all that shit again. I don't want to have to try to I don't know, look for money and do all the tedious stuff. So I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna put in some mods. I'm gonna make it look better. I'm gonna do all kinds of crazy stuff and put in characters that shouldn't be there." Mods are a son of a bitch to work on The Witcher because CD Projekt Red keeps updating it and making it better years after release because they're so awesome, right?
Yep.
Like, who else does that?
Yeah,
Like,
if you remember the first year it was out, they committed to 16 free updates in a year. And they like The Witcher a year after launch compared to The Witcher on launch is like a significantly better game. Or The Witcher 3, that is. Because, like, if you remember, it was like crafting materials took inventory weight. So, like, you could get over encumbered by having crafting materials in your inventory. And they totally changed that. They added a new movement system for The Witcher 3 because the original one was like a lot of people didn't like it. And they added a toggle so you could change it. They added a ton of free stuff to that game. And they, I guess, continue to do to a certain regard.
I think the people over there that work on their games just love the games that they work on. So they improve them just because they can.
Yeah. Jeremy, Planet Winfinite says, no lie, the updates keep breaking mods. So there you go.
They do.
Yep.
Yeah, like every time you get, well, like, let's pray to Jade this is going to last, because every time they do an update, it just like snaps like a rubber band. But, you know, I will say, like, it just looks incredible compared to how it looked the last time I played it on my Xbox. Now that I'm playing it on a PC, it's just night and day, the difference. And it's just really cool that what they're doing. Like, not only this, but we did another story a week ago or so where they had already figured out a work from home solution like ages ago to deal with this thing that's got us like all streaming from our houses and all this. They're just like really doing a good job of staying on top of it. And I just want to express my appreciation to CD Projekt Red here.
Yeah, they're great.
But I got another story that I really want to talk about. And it looks like we have some time. Did you guys know that there's going to be a Mad Max spinoff?
No, but I'm into it.
Yeah.
We're talking movie now, right?
Yeah,
We're
what
talking
does that
movie.
entail? What does that entail?
I don't know
Let's
yet.
go into that first.
We don't know yet, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about. So, what happened is George Miller is, I guess, talking to Anna Taylor-Joy, who we reported is as the New Mutants Anna Taylor-Joy. That almost seems like kind of like a backhanded.
Oh my god!
That movie
You know
is
that
never
movie?
coming out.
Yeah.
Come on,
That movie that was supposed to come out a year ago and then
Do that to
didn't,
Anna
and then
Taylor-Joy.
it was going to come out this month and then didn't, and then
Yeah, give her more credit than that. Let's pretend like that doesn't exist. But they're talking to her about playing a major character in a spinoff set in the Mad Max Fury Road universe. So,
Dude, she was on Peaky Blinders, Dark Crystal, and
she's in The Witch.
she's in and they do that one. Okay.
I get it. It's X-Men. X-Men's like the biggest one of those.
Sure.
So what we don't know? Well, here's what we do know. Everybody is saying that Furiosa is like not in it. That we like that. That's what's in the article. It's based on. She gets the role. Perhaps we would see that character in a sequel to Fury Road. We do know, however, that we won't be seeing Furiosa in the sequel, and there's additional reporting on that. So if that's true, that doesn't necessarily mean that Mad Max isn't in it, but obviously it can't be Mad Max without Mad Max, right? So. Is this another adventure with Mad Max and he meets new characters? If you guys saw the original trilogy, which we're showing some clips from here, you know, he goes from like the beginning of the apocalypse, like what we're in now, to, you know, a crazy like Thunderdome apocalypse where
Hey,
Tina
good
Turner
B-roll.
or whoever is, you know, making people fight to the death and all this stuff. So
Oh God,
so-
Destin, I just got to what you.
you look at the original movie, and it's not
Alexio.
the Mad Max
Wow,
you think of compared to the second and the third. Alexio's coming with the heat today, baby.
Oh my God.
So we're talking about two different movies here, though. We're talking about there's a
Yeah.
Mad Max sequel in the works that will not have Furiosa, and then there's also supposedly a Furiosa backstory spin-off movie.
Okay, so if that's what this is, if this is a Furiosa spin-off,
Yeah, so that's the two things. There's a there's
she
a
could be
rumor
playing
that there's gonna
playing
be
a younger version of her.
George Miller is working on a Furiosa spin-off movie, kind of looking at her backstory that Taylor-Joy is in, or is in talks for. And then there's also talk of Miller making a sequel to Fury Road that we know Furiosa will not be in because those characters have parted ways at that point. So that's the distinction here. Is those are two different movies.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
See, that's why we have to have somebody from the news department on the show.
So the spin-off movie is literally like starring Furiosa. It is her history. And the way Miller talked about it, like we don't have many details about this movie, but the way Miller was talking about it, it sounds like it would probably explore her backstory and probably be set before Fury Road. Like we don't have details yet.
Barry Allen in the chat has a Thunderdome joke here. 2 women enter, 1 woman leaves. That's what they say when 2 men walk into the Thunderdome. You guys remember that?
Oh, but for Furiosa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, characters are like Highlanders and Mad Max. There can really only be one. God damn, this movie is so cool. It makes me want to watch it again, seeing this clip that's running in the background here. It's just so good. I feel like I feel weird about there being a Mad Max movie that doesn't have Mad Max in it. So like, I hope they have that figured out. But on the other hand, like, there is nothing George Miller could do that I would be convinced wouldn't be awesome after seeing Mad Max. Like, it was 1,000 times better than it had any right to be. Like, it was so good. It's to me like one of the best action movies I've seen in like a decade. It's perfect.
Yeah. That movie is really, really phenomenal. And it's so cool too to see, like, there's a drawings, I think that's from like a decade or 2 decades ago, of George Miller like sketching out like teeny tiny little storyboards on the side of a piece of paper of what Fury Road was going to be, and you can see that basic like 10 or 20 frame storyboard is actually still the film. Like, he had that idea for so long, and it's so cool to see that vision like be absolutely incredible that he'd been holding for so long. I think they built a crazy cool world and crazy cool characters in Fury Road, and it would be a little weird to have one without Mad Max, but like, man, I trust him. Like,
somebody in chat said, Planet Winfinite just said, just call it Furiosa Road to differentiate it. That's not bad.
I'd watch it. Yeah, I'd watch it.
I'm going to watch anything that George Miller does at this point. Like, there is just no convincing me that it isn't going to be head and shoulders above what anyone else. Look at how crazy this is with the little weirdo throwing.
Oh my God.
Boomerang, little feral boy.
What the heck?
God damn it.
The boomerang was so great.
Oh my God.
The Road Warrior was just incredible. Thunderdome is a little iffy, but like Mad Max is next level. I heard about another crazy movie that's apparently being talked about. Did you see the thing about Ryan Reynolds being in talks to do a live-action Dragon's Lair?
Wait, really?
Really?
Yeah.
like,
If anybody can pull it off, I think he could, though.
Yeah,
sorry to
definitely.
throw this at you randomly, Alexio. It just like popped up today. But
wild. It's a wild idea.
He can't just bring up B-roll. Just talk about the story, though.
No, I know. I'm just telling him because we're having a lot of fun watching Mad Max, and now we got to stop and talk about this.
This is like a full-on nostalgia play, right? Like, that is what it is.
Nostalgia for who? You'd have to be like 50 years old to remember that game. Christ, Netflix is just like licensing any video game, I think, at this point. Castlevania did really well, so they're like, people like video games.
I mean, retro stuff is kind of back in fashion, isn't it? Especially with like,
is it?
With shows like Stranger Things that definitely had that gameplay in there, right? That's the game that they were playing in the arcade, right?
I don't know.
That's what it was.
Stella, you're a teen. Does that nostalgia appeal to you? Do you want to watch a?
I mean, it's definitely one of those games that like we
Dragon's
know
Lair
about,
show?
right? Like it's one of those games that was bad but also good, so it's kind of funny, especially when people go back to play it. Every single convention I've been to has an arcade version of Dragon's Lair there just so people can play it and experience it. So I feel like there is kind of an appeal to like, oh, this is a retro game. Like, yeah, let's
Dude,
go
people
watch
don't even know what this is. Tom Brown says, like, what is Dragon Slayer? Is that like the Dragonheart movie? It's Dragon's Lair, actually. But you wouldn't know that unless you were hella old, because that game is so old that even when I was a boy, and I'm very old, I would look at that and say, like, that's a game for old people.
I think it's actually perfect, and it's ripe for comedy, and they could do so much with just the story of those two. They can sort of modernize it. And Ryan Reynolds does excellent when he's given a character like that. That's just like him to a T. I could absolutely imagine this coming out and actually doing well with the current audience.
The thing that's so funny to me about this, though, is like, you take a game that was explicitly what it was popular for and what it was known for was its animation style and how cool the animation was, and then you're like, okay, we'll make that live action. Like, what?
It's the only cool thing about that game is the animation. that anything at all.
There you go.
Just do it animated, Netflix. Come on, stop fooling around.
It's already animated.
We've seen the animated version. I for one would like to see the live action version.
I know.
Because like
too.
it was.
I think it'd be funny.
Yeah. At the time, animation was so cool. You think I think it was what was it? Outer World or Another World on the Super Nintendo. It had a really cool animation style, and that's why people gravitated towards that. Dragon's Lair, again, this really cool animation thing. It's time to get past that because we can do it live. Sneeze.
If you guys could reboot
sneeze
any,
into your arm, Dustin.
I'm in my house. I haven't left my house for weeks. I think I'm fine.
pick any retro video game that you would like to see rebooted, starting with Destiny.
Mass Effect.
No, retro game. A retro game.
Rebooted as a game, not as a movie.
As a movie. Rebooted as a movie or a series or something.
As a
Another
movie?
World. Another World would be excellent,
what you would pick?
actually. Hell yeah.
Damn,
That's
dog.
a really, really cool story.
I'd pick this old arcade game called Tron.
I think I've heard of that.
But
I think that
Yeah, I've heard
I
that
think
one.
that has movie potential.
That's an excellent idea. Yeah.
Get out, Tom.
Get out, Tom. What about you, Stella?
I don't know.
Oh, God. She's going to make us all feel old in 3.
I was
gonna
gonna
be
say like
like,
Banjo
GoldenEye.
Kazooie.
Oh,
Banjo
God.
Kazooie would be cute.
Would you do that animated though?
Yeah.
Okay.
And-
No,
yeah.
live action. Live
No,
action.
no
They have
live
to wear-
action.
They have
No,
to wear
we had enough of that
fursuits.
with Lion King, please.
They
no.
just did it with Pokemon, and Pokemon was great. And who was in Pokemon?
Okay, yeah, that was great, but the whole point of okay.
No, what?
If Ryan Reynolds was the main character in that, that'd be great, but I don't know. I like Banjo-Kazooie's animation style. Because they just came out with, he's a new fighter in Smash, so I like that animation. If they kept that, that'd be cute.
Ryan Reynolds is in Smash?
No!
Kinda. Pikachu
Jeremy,
is.
what, do we have another inquiry?
There's a bunch of people in chat that are just throwing out games. Maniac Mansion.
Metal
That would be
Gear.
awesome.
Someone said
Paperboy.
Street Fighter, but better.
Burger Time. Burger Time would be
good.
funny, actually. Like imagine like a human man running around like a dark city being pursued by like a humanoid egg. Like a fried egg.
That's
and the only thing that he can protect
That's
himself with is a giant container of pepper. That would be real stupid. Contra, Jay Kristoff says. They're working on a Contra movie, aren't they?
Wait, are they really?
Yeah, who's that really dumb actor? He's real dumb.
Sylvester Stallone.
No, he's in like Magic Mike. What's his name?
Mike.
He's in
Channing Tatum?
Yes! Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be one of the guys. Their names are probably Biff and
just
Jeff
so
or something. I can't
disappointed.
remember. That would be a movie that I would watch.
Ooh,
That would be like
Conker's
a
Bad
so bad
Fur
it's so good
Day.
sort of thing.
Mark
Conker's Bad
Wahlberg.
Fur Day, but as
That's what I was thinking.
But Ryan Reynolds being Conker, that'd be funny. I'd watch that.
There's some people saying like Metal Gear Solid. You know, like I think they'll get
They're
around to that
they're
eventually.
making a
That's
Metal
gonna
Gear
happen.
movie.
They've been saying they're gonna make it for a million billion years.
Yeah, they're making an Uncharted movie, too.
Yeah, when's
Yeah.
that gonna come out? Haven't they gone
wanna
through like
see-
3 directors or something like that?
At least.
I want to see Darkstalkers, but I want it to be like Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Okay, now I'm on board.
Have you guys seen the chilling adventures of Sabrina?
I think I
Yeah,
watched like
it's-
the first episode.
It's for all ages, right?
Ooh, baby, there's a lot of sex and satanic stuff in that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the 3 S's of quality: sex, satanic stuff.
Hey, Jeremy,
Yeah,
real quick, we're pushing to Up at Noon after this, right?
that's right.
Yeah, Up at Noon's back live.
Oh
That's
my
kinda
God.
cool.
Yeah, we didn't even
that's
talk
right.
about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's at 5. We're 3 minutes
Thank you,
out.
Alexia.
So
It's noon somewhere.
It actually is noon somewhere. It's noon in Fiji. For real.
Congrats,
Wait.
Fiji, on getting up at noon.
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty stoked for Max and Brian to be putting this together. Alexio, can people hear you when you talk, or is that just us? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about when that's coming up at 5, and do you have a run of show or anything?
Yeah, 5 to 6. Have not looked at the run of show. Pulled a bunch of B-roll of like old Spawn toys and Wendy's commercials.
That rules.
Legos.
Yeah, so when we wrap in like 2 minutes, be sure you check those guys out. It's really cool that they're they're able to do this, and it's the perfect venue
It
for it to be done in right now.
Also, for Jeremy and Destin, Forchi says Tom and Destin would dig Police Knots.
Oh God, I have to play Police Knots. I
See,
played like
you.
every
amazing.
Yeah.
There you
I've
go,
actually
Porchi.
played almost every Kojima game. I've played all the Metal Gears. I still haven't finished 5. That's what I'm gonna play, Jeremy. I'm gonna finish Metal Gear 5. We were talking about that off the air. I'm just kind of tired of RPGs right now, so I'm gonna play some stealth, tactical espionage
I'm
action.
really bad at stealth.
Tom, what are you gonna play next?
Tactical, actually.
I hate you.
That's right.
Okay.
Tom, what are you gonna play next?
I am currently starting Persona 5 Royal, or I'm playing Persona 5 Royal and Animal Crossing, and I think those will take up the next 2 million years of my life. So I'm
Stella?
Animal Crossing and Apex and whatever else you assign me, because you're my boss.
Yeah, probably some wiki features around the corner. That's what we got lined up for you. What about you, Jeremy? You gonna play some Witcher? Put some mods in there?
Yeah, I'm gonna mess around with that a little bit, but mostly I'm gonna be playing Animal Crossing and Doom because I'm basic. And it's
Right
okay.
after this, I'm gonna play Doom.
All right, but we gotta cut it so we can get ready for Up at Noon. You guys gotta check out Up at Noon. It's gonna be really awesome. These guys have been pent up with
Yeah,
their
don't leave.
for like a year. We've been wanting to do this live. We've been being hassled on Twitter constantly. Every day people want it. People want to see Up at Noon. You should see Up at Noon. It's going to be on in just a couple minutes. And so for us, we're going to have to say bye-bye.
Bye,
Good
Ray.
hanging with you.
Have fun with Max and Brian. Bye.
Wash your hands out there. Watch Up at Noon, and I'll see you in hell.